Hi everyone, Kristina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm going to be playing with a new product from Prima. These are their Water Soluble Oil Pastels, and they're a little bit like a watercolor crayon, but also a little bit different, and I'll get into that in a minute. So there are 24 oil pastels in the pack, and they have the color name written on the side, or printed on the side. The color I'm going to be showing you is cadmium green. It's not one that I'll be using today, but it is a really nice green color. And these are really fun because you can use them dry and they'll glide onto your paper or kind of mix around like regular pastels, or you can add water to them. And I'm going to be adding water to mine today. So I'm also going to be using cobalt green and yellow on today's card, and we're going to get right into it. So the stamp set I'm using today is called Autumn Leaves by W+9. I'm going to be using more summertime colors on these leaves, but you could definitely use more autumn colors and it would be really beautiful. I'm also using this greeting stamp set from W+9. I thought it would just make a really nice complement to those leaves. I'm taking some watercolor paper. This is Strathmore watercolor paper. I've cut it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I've taped that down to a board so that it doesn't warp or move around while I'm adding this wet medium on top. So I'm going to take cadmium green, and this is one of the solid leaf stamps from that stamp set. And the reason why I wanted to use this stamp set in particular is because it does have nice solid images. You can use these oil pastels to stamp more intricate stamps, but it doesn't look quite as nice. The real way you're going to see all the fun color mixing and the watercoloring coming out is if you use a solid stamped image. So that's why I'm using the leaves from that stamp set. So I'm coloring onto the stamp here, and I'm going to use yellow. The one thing I wanted to notice or wanted to mention about these as opposed to watercolor crayons is that I feel that these are a little bit more creamy. They tend to go onto surfaces a little bit more smoothly. Now I have to preface this with the fact that I have only used the Stampin' Up! Watercolor crayons that came out like 10 years ago. And just my experience with them a long time ago, I remember them being slightly more dry than this, a little bit more like a regular waxy crayon. But these oil pastels are very, very creamy, and you could actually use your fingertips to mix them on paper if you wanted to. But today I'm going to be showing you how to use them with a little bit of water. Taking a paintbrush, you can use whatever paintbrush you have on hand. This just happens to be a size 8 round paintbrush. Adding some water to that leaf. And then I'm going to be stamping that down onto my watercolor paper. You do want to use watercolor paper for this just because you are adding quite a bit of water. And I really love how that turned out. I like the areas where it kind of skipped and it didn't have all the color on there. I think it looks really cool. I'm going to go right back in with some more color and start coloring right on top of this once again. I wanted to mention that I'm using a watercolor brush or just a paintbrush to add water on top because I tried it with a mister bottle or a spray bottle, and it added just a little bit too much water, and when I stamped it all became one big blob. It didn't retain the edges of the stamp. So I discovered that adding a little bit of water with a paintbrush where I had more control over where the water was being applied, it was the perfect solution to that particular problem. So this is how I'm going to be stamping all of these leaves on my card today. So for that one, I added a little bit of cobalt green on the edges, just for a little bit of color difference. And you'll see that when I stamp, it has a little bit more of a tealish blue-green color, almost a little bit grayed out. So here's another one of those stamps from that stamp set. I'm adding yellow to the center of the leaves, and then I'm going to be adding some cadmium green around the edges. And you'll notice I'm not coloring the entire areas of those leaves as much as I had with the previous stamp. That's because I realized that as I add water, it really kind of fills in those gaps, and I liked having the opportunity for some blank spaces when I stamped. I think it looks really cool, a little bit more like watercolor. So I'm going to add some water onto this stamp here just to get those colors moving a little bit. I'm going over the center areas first, mostly, getting that yellow nice and wet, and then I'll go around the edges and kind of dampen the darker spots where I had that cadmium green. So I'm going to stamp this down, and you'd think with all that water on top that it would go beyond the edge of the stamp, but by controlling the flow of the water with that paintbrush, it really helps you get a better stamped image, even that intricate little stem going down the center. So I'm just going to show you how I did the rest of the stamping here. I've just sped up the video process just so it didn't take too long. On this one, I added hardly any water at all. You'll see that it's very, very dry as I stamp it. So I'm going to go in with my paintbrush and move that around a little bit more. And that's a really fun look as well if you wanted to do that. Like use a little bit more of a damp brush when you add the paintbrush instead of one that has more water. You could definitely do that and you'll get more of a dry look like you just saw there. So I'm adding some water with the paintbrush and stamping that down. I'm going to add another leaf up in that top corner, and this time I'm going to use that cobalt green on the edges so that it has some color relation to that more dry stamped below. So I'll just add that up to that top corner. And this finishes up the initial stamping of all the leaves. I'm going to add some water droplets or some splatter onto it. So I'm taking a brown color and I've just colored that onto a slick surface. This is actually a piece of white cardstock that I've laminated, and it makes a nice kind of like a DIY palette for crafting. So I'm adding some water to that brown, and I wanted it a little bit more intense, so I'm going to add some black. And it's going to kind of gray that out. It's still going to be rather brown, but I just wanted it to be a little bit darker. I'm going to take that palette and hold it over the top of my project here and use my paintbrush to run the color off the side and flick water droplets down onto my project. I showed this in my video last Friday, and a lot of you mentioned that you loved this method for applying color droplets or little tiny spray bits on your projects, and I totally agree with you. It's so much more effective, and it's easier to get all those colors in the places where you want it. Also added some yellow droplets, and then I decided I wanted to add some gold too. So I'm taking this gold color from the Kuretake Zig Gansai Tambi palette, mixing up some of that gold, and I'm putting it onto my palette off to the side, and then flicking that on as well. Just a few little flicks here and there. I just wanted some of that gold color to come through. And that's because I'm going to be doing some gold embossing, and I'm going to add the gold embossing as the greeting and also the outline on the stamps. First, I'm going to take this greeting from that stamp set, and I'm stamping this down in some Versamark ink. Now, Versamark is a very sticky ink. It's perfect for heat embossing because wherever you stamped, that heat embossing powder will stick to it. So I'm using some Wow Rich Pale Gold embossing powder for this. It's my favorite gold embossing powder because it's not too golden, but it's not too pale as well. It's a nice in-between color. Heat setting that with my heat tool until it's completely melted. You can see that shine in the light there. And now I've taken the outline stamps of these leaves from the same stamp set, and I've stamped over each one of these leaves, not perfectly on top of the leaf, a little bit offset, because I wanted it to look a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit irregular over the top of these colored images. So I'm adding that gold embossing powder on top, and then I'll heat set that with my heat tool once again until it's completely melted. Now at this point I realized that I wanted to add just a couple more leaves, so I stamped the outline of the leaves and also embossed those in the gold embossing powder. And now I'm going to go back and add the color back in. So I'm going to use that method that I used for the water droplets, except this time I'm going to paint directly onto the project. So I've got the two green colors that I was using before, and I'm just going to very lightly drop color into those areas where I embossed the leaves. This gives a very different look, and you'll be able to see the difference in the intensity of color when you have this application method as opposed to when you actually put it on the stamp. You get more intense color if you color on the stamp and then add water than if you are to do this. Although this is a really, really fun look as well. You can get some kind of overlapping colors. I'm pretty much done with all of the painting, so I'm going to work on the card base now. I'm using some Nina 110 pound solar white cardstock, and I've scored that at 5.5 to create a top folding card. I'm using my Teflon bone folder to crease that fold really well. And then I decided that I wanted to add some gold edging onto this watercolor piece. So I trimmed it down to be 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall, and then I'm taking that same gold watercolor that I used for the splatter, and I just painted that onto the edge of this watercolor piece. It's just going to set it apart as I adhere it on top of the card base. So I added quite a bit of foam adhesive to the back of this watercolor piece here, and I'm adhering it down onto the card front. I like to use a lot of foam adhesive just because it is watercolor paper, and if it warps at all or if it looks a little funny, then the foam can kind of flatten everything out. I took a white heart that was die cut from the Simon Says Stamp Mini Hearts die set. I temporarily adhered that to a strip of cardstock so that I could handle it, and then I smushed it onto my Versamark pad and put some more of that gold embossing powder on top. I did this because I wanted the gold heart, and I wasn't able to stamp that and add that on. I didn't have a stamp that was particularly that size, and I liked the dimension of having that heart coming off the surface of the card front. So that finishes my card for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. These oil pastels are super fun to use, and I hope to use them in the future. And if you guys want to see more of these, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today's video. On screen right now are my last 3 videos that I've uploaded, so if you want to check those out, you can. All of them have a little bit of watercoloring. You can visit my blog at kwernerdesign.com, and you can see me on social media at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.